There's been a fascinating documentary released by the BBC recently about Sidhu Moosewala. And this documentary that was produced by the BBC World Service has received a barrage of complaints from the Sikh community right across the diaspora, but certainly here in the UK. On the BBC website, they do actually have a very informative article about his death. He was actually shot through his windscreen in this hit. But they talk about his killer. It was a Punjabi gangster named Goldie Brar who actually claimed responsibility on Facebook just after. But 3 years after the murder, no one has faced trial, and Goldie Brar is still on the run. Nobody knows really where he is. Now, the BBC claimed they made contact with Brar, and they asked him a load of questions, and they asked him why they targeted Sidhu Moosewala. And his response, as they say, was coldly articulate. In his arrogance, Moosewala made some mistakes that could not be forgiven. We had no option but to kill him. He had to face the consequences of his actions. It was him or us, simple as that, is what he said. And then the BBC talk about how he was actually targeted in the killing. Again, it does imply that there was this collusion between the Bishnoi gang, this Goldie Brar character, and certainly it does seem the alleged criminality here, or the alleged state criminality, is that Goldie Brar was effectively the proxy killer of the Indian state to take out this very, very powerful force, very powerful influencer who was highlighting the truth of what was going on in the Punjab. And sadly, he's paid with it with his life. He obviously lived fast and hard. But it does once again highlight the fact that India trying to control the narrative through the BBC that Sidhu Moosewala probably was killed by the Indian state because he was so influential. He was telling the truth. And unfortunately, the BBC has fallen into this trap of following the state narrative rather than doing its job, which is actually asking the key questions. Why really was Sidhu Moosewala murdered?